Hey everybody, Tom Cherryholmes here with irata.online, and I wanted to make another work in progress announcement, this time for a copy of PLATOTerm for the ZX Spectrum. This came together very quickly thanks to the excellent Z88DK compiler toolchain and their excellent standard libraries. And the first version that I will be releasing will have Spectranet support, and I will be folding in RS-232 support next. The terminal is functioning well enough now to actually interact with the service, and I wanted to take and kind of give a demonstration of how it's ultimately going to work. So with that, we have right here my development environment, which is essentially a copy of Fuse. That I have actually installed the Spectranet support in. We can see that Spectranet has been initialized and is ready to go. Now, as part of deploying and distributing PLATOTerm, I have installed a TNFS server at irata.online, so you can run PLATOTerm directly from the TNFS server and not have to load any tapes or disks or any software on your machine beforehand. It can be streamed over the network automatically. So with that, we'll go ahead and mount the particular disk image here. And yes, this is a live server, so if you want to try this yourself, go ahead. I will be regularly posting builds here. We see that it's okay and we're able to do the load. Now, the default boot ZX will automatically load the program for you, so all you have to do is do a load with nothing in the file name. By default, it is configured to connect to irata.online automatically. The final version will allow you to specify other hosts that you want to connect to. And we can see that we're already here looking at the login screen. So we'll go ahead and we'll log in. Now, it's worth noting here that you see reference to the next key. The next key is equivalent to your return key on your Sinclair Spectrum keyboard. And as part of the documentation, I will be providing equivalent key mappings from Plato keys to the ZX Spectrum keys. We go ahead and enter my group name. And we can see from here, we now have a password prompt. And we log right in. And one of the aspects about the particular system here is that the system automatically keeps track of where you are inside the system, and I was last in the notes menu, so it put me back here in the notes menu. I will go ahead and hit the shift back key to go to the main menu, and to do that I will actually take and tap the extend key, and I will press shift and B for back. We can see the main menu here, and as we can see, rendering out quite nicely. We'll go ahead and just as a quick little demonstration here, we'll actually go into the game section. And we see that there are a whole host of games that we can take and select right off the bat here. And I'll just kind of quickly run through the start of a couple of them so you can kind of see what the experience is like. We'll go ahead and do checkers as an example here. I go ahead and press F. It gives me a description of the game here, plus the indication that I need to press data to play. Well, no problem. Tab and D for data. There's the checkers splash screen here. It's loading in a custom character set for the game. In this case, it will draw the board and the checker pieces using this custom character set. Now I will be improving the image processing for the image processing which is required to take and scale down the character sets to the 4:6 that's required by the Spectrum. So keep checking out for updates. This will improve. Go ahead and hit next here, and next again for normal checkers. Now, I do need to also add in support for some sort of pointing device, be it a joystick or a mouse. If any of you have suggestions on what I can take and add in to support this, please let me know. So we'll just go ahead and do kind of a little computer run here. And as you can see, it's just playing a game of checkers with itself, but you can just as easily take and play it with the computer or with another person, as well as being able to use the touchscreen to take and select and move pieces in addition to specifying it on the keyboard. When you're done at any given point, you can then hit Shift and Stop to exit out. So on the Sinclair Spectrum, extend, Shift S, and you will get a message indicating whether or not you want to continue working, or Shift Stop to sign off. No problem. We'll go ahead and press Extend D for data to continue. And I'll go ahead and do Airfight just to kind of demonstrate here. Airfight was a 3D flight simulator that was part of the Plato system. Quite remarkable for what it really was. And yes, it's a 3D first-person flight simulator, as you'll see here in just a moment. Again, like the checkers game before, it's loading a custom character set into the game here. Go ahead, select OK. I want to go ahead and pick a particular squadron. I'll go ahead and pick a particular plane that I want to play in. This is a multiplayer game, so you play against other players on the same airfield here while you try to take and shoot each other down in a dogfighting simulation. So give yourself a call sign. How much fuel that you want. This is important as it dictates basically how often you can sit up in the air at the expense of how many missiles you can put into your payload. So now we're actually sitting here on the ground, and here we go. I'll go ahead and turn off all of the radar view here so we can get a bit more speed out of here. They can pull back the stick a little bit, turn up the throttle, turn up the flaps, and I have to hit the next key here to take and scoot along the ground here. Not exactly the fastest thing in the world, but it is actually playable. And as we see here, we're just zooming right along, and it plays quite nicely on the Spectranet. I'm actually very impressed, and I think once we get the text routines optimized, it will be even better. So, I mean, as you can see there, it's running quite nicely. It'll stall here in just a moment, and it'll dip back down, and hopefully it will stop just long enough for me to take and hit stop and hit Shift Stop so I can leave. Either that or we'll crash and we'll get the same result. Yep, so okay, we've just stopped it. Okay, no problem. I take and hit data to continue, and we'll go on to some of the other bits and pieces. Another game that we have here on the system here is called Avatar. Avatar is considered one of the first massive multiplayer online role-playing games ever created, as you'll see from the copyright date. Let's see here, we'll go ahead and press Tab D to select it, and one of the things that Avatar has is a nice little intro screen drawing a nice little dragon here. Again, load character set, and we get the opportunity to take and go in. Now we're inside the game, and since I left my character, he's down in the dungeon, so it puts me back here in the dungeon. The character sets are used to render the maze graphics. Like I said before, I need to take and work on improving the convolution matrix here to get some of the crispness back in the graphics here. So check back on a regular basis. The graphics will take and improve as I work on the terminal. So as you can see here, a pretty run-by-the-numbers role-playing game here in the Dungeons & Dragons style, with statistics and inventory, and as well as allies and companions. A very well-made game. So we'll go ahead and shift stop again. Data to continue. And, apologies there. Let's see. Go back, and that kind of gives you an idea just kind of across the board here. I won't go into too much more here, but there are a lot of different games here, and furthermore, because of the development environment built inside the system, which I'll show in just a moment, you'll see that we can make even more interesting stuff inside the system. So let's see here. Go from here, and we'll take and shift back and go back to the main menu here. And we will go into the notes section. Notes is, of course, the forum posting system that's inside the system, and this is probably one of the earliest implementations of a threaded discussion forum inside the system here. We'll just take and read a single note here. We have different notes files that we can go into. I'll go ahead and select B for public notes. And yes, the border is flashing on and off here as a debugging measure, so I can see when data is coming into the buffer and not. I am debating on whether or not to leave that in. If you guys have a suggestion on that, please let me know. As we see here, this is kind of the announcement that I'm making on the board here that the Spectrum port of PLATOTerm is actually in progress. And you have the opportunity, of course, to take and reply to the note, etc. And at any given time inside the system, you can see that there is indication that help is available, which you can use by pressing the help key. In this case, it's extend and H for help. And it gives you indications on how to use the system. The whole system is pretty much wired up like this. Now, with this, I won't go too much into this side of the system now. I will take and finish and kind of show you a bit of the other side of things, so to speak. If you are interested in using the developer environment inside the system, you can request an author account. Once you request an author account, you have access to the authoring environment, which I will log into right now. We'll take and shift stop, and at this point, instead of hitting data, I'll hit shift stop again, which will immediately log me off. I can press next to log back on. And at this point, I will log back in with my username, and since I have an author account, I can use the author group. Oop, misspelled. If that happens, I just take and hit back, and I get the opportunity to re-enter my name. Oh, come on. Okay, okay. Try that again. And then we get our password. We type in our password for our author account again. And yes, I know I haven't changed my password for this account, no problem. But now we're sitting inside the author mode here, and we can go in and look at different chunks of code. When you get an author account, you get a bit of workspace that has a lesson name that you can attach to it. So you get to your workspace by typing in the lesson that you're working on. In this case, let's go into my Othello game that I'm working on here. We get the opportunity to inspect it, we can try it out. We can type in the security code and have full edit access. It goes ahead, loads the character set into the game. And if we dig into it at this point, we'll take and use the plus and minus keys to take and flip through different parts here. Oops. Looks like I need to get the plus and minus keys defined. Well, in lieu of that, we'll go ahead and just select a particular chunk of code here, and next, and go to the next section so you can kind of see. And this is what the development environment looks like here. This language is called Tutor, and it's absolutely pervasive throughout the entire system. You know, you have access to being able to take and build anything that can run on this system to not only run on the ZX Spectrums, but on any system that has a Plato terminal written for it. So it's very cross-platform, and it's one of the driving reasons why I'm working on this particular service in the first place. So I've got other demonstration videos in place here, and I will be taking and actually updating the main demonstration video in short order here, but I kind of wanted to go ahead and just kind of put together an indication that the ZX Spectrum port of PLATOTerm is coming along quite well. It will shape up even faster in the next couple of days, and I will officially announce it complete. And you guys, if you want to use it, you can of course just stream it across TNFS, but I'll also provide versions that will work with the RS-232 interfaces for the interface 1 and the ZX Spectrum 128, as well as, and for those will be distributed in tape image format. So with that, that's pretty much all I wanted to kind of do, just kind of a quick little whirlwind tour of the system here, so you guys can see what to look forward to. With that, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to look into this, and if any of you have any suggestions on how to make this any better, feel free to hit me up on Facebook, hit me up on Google+. My name is Thomas Cherryhomes, and you know, strike up a dialogue with me here. I'm receptive, and I want this to be the best possible service that we can offer for the retro computing community. So with that, we'll go ahead and end it here. I appreciate you guys taking a look at this, and I'll hopefully see you guys later.